Hi there. All right, I'm going to try recording this for you so that if you need to come back and watch it more than once, you can do that. This is for you yearbook students and those of you who are ready to start working with your photographs. When we work with photographs, there's more than just taking a picture. We want a professional output for our yearbook as much as we can do. And so we're going to learn how to use Photoshop to do a few things. Just a couple of simple things today, but it's a way to start using the program. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do before you open Photoshop or do any of that is you need to decide which photo you're going to be using. All right. We'll talk about uploading photos at another time. Right now, most of your photos I've been uploading for you, so you'll find them in your O drive. Remember, to get to your O drive, the easiest way is to click on this little file folder down here. Now yours is going to look slightly different than mine. I'm at home on my laptop and I have Windows 10 and we have Windows 7 at school, so it's going to look slightly different than this, but the idea is there. So when you click on File Explorer, over here in the left, you'll see some different things. They may look totally different than this, and of course you may not have all of these at home, but you should have some things on the left there, and it's computer. Mine says PC here, again, different versions. Click on this little arrow to the left of computer, come down here and find your O drive. Again, I'm at home, so no O drive, but then click on your O drive. Over in the middle, then you'll be able to find IMS Yearbook. Click on the yearbook and then find your file and double click to open your file. Okay, so I'm going to open a different file here just so you can kind of see what that looks like. So here I am, I'm in there. Now I'm going to open my IMS yearbook and then my file. Okay. All right, so, and yours will probably not come up like this. I'm sorry, I've changed this. Yours will probably come up looking like this. Okay, so notice these are hard to look at as pictures. Again, yours will look slightly different than mine, but over here underneath the X and all of these things, you should see a tab that, or a little spot with an arrow to click that says View. Mine's on a tab. When you click that view, then choose extra large icons, and then you'll be able to see the pictures. All right, and when you see the pictures, these pictures would look different. They'd be sideways, but you can kind of get an idea of the pictures you want to work on. Once you get to the first one that you want to work on, you're going to double click on that computer is going to be the best choice for you, because then it will open the computer in a viewer that you can see. Now, I can't do that here because again, I've got different programs on my home computer, but we'll pretend I'm double clicking here, and this is what you will see. Actually, it'll probably come up like this. All right, so you've opened a picture now, and by the way, if it comes up sideways like this, you should use these little arrows down here to change its orientation. Think about the top of it is going to move. Which direction do I need it to move? To the left. By the way, if you make a mistake, you can simply go back and click it a few more times and pardon me, you'll get there. Okay, so this is the picture I want to work on. Okay, I only open it here because I need to make a note of the name. Sorry. The name of the photo. So when you're in this viewer, you come all the way up here over to the left and notice it's called IMG, and then it has a number. You need to make a note of this. If you're going to work on several pictures, you can make a note of them. However, I would only open one picture at a time in Photoshop because it really slows things down if you have more than one. All right, so you've got that written down. Perfect. Next, you're going to open Photoshop. All right, to find Photoshop, you'll go to your Windows icon down here. Again, I'm working on Windows 10. Yours will come up totally different than mine. But down here at the bottom, where mine says All Apps, yours will say All Programs. And you want to click on All Programs. You will find it under not Photoshop, but Adobe Photoshop, because that's who owns Photoshop. Yours will be slightly different than mine. Yours is CC 2014. It may not even say 2014. It may just say Adobe Photoshop CC. Go ahead and click on that to open it, and be patient. Photoshop is a very large program, and it will take a long time to load. Okay, you may get a different box that pops up when this first opens. If you do, just click to close it. Okay, then this is where you need that information you just wrote down. You're going to go up here to open that file. You'll go to File, Open, and then it's going to bring a dialog box up for you. All right, you'll have to search. It won't come up to this spot, the right spot where you want it, so click on computer, not this PC, but computer. All right, go out to your O drive, click on that, click on IMS Yearbook, and then click in your folder. All right, so then you've got this picture of all of your images, and let's see, I forgot the number of mine already. It's 5508, so I would go down to 5508 and click open. Okay, so when you do that, again, be patient. It's going to take a minute. I've already got mine queued up so you don't have to wait for me. All right, and here is the picture. All right, it's a pretty nice picture of Mrs. Gibson, right? However, if you look at it with a critical eye, and I need you to do that as yearbook photographers, it's more than just snapping a picture and slapping it in a snapbook or in a you know what I mean. We need to make it better. Okay, and so that's one of the things we're going to do in Photoshop before we do anything else with these pictures is we're going to look at them with a critical eye. So I see Mrs. Gibson. I have quite a bit of her here. I've got this busy stuff going on up here, which I probably don't want. All right, so I'm going to do what we call a crop. Almost all pictures that we put in our yearbook are going to need to be cropped. So this is where we're going to start. Okay, so let's look at Photoshop for a minute up here. At the top, you see some things that should look familiar. File, Edit, Image. Okay, then there's a whole bunch like, what? That's okay. Down the left, these are tools that we're going to use right now. You can tell which one is selected because it's slightly darker and kind of looks like a button's been pushed in. And this is actually the selecting tool. When you hover over a tool, if you hang there long enough, it'll tell you what tool it is. And this one says it's the path selection tool. All right, yours may or may not look like mine on the right. If these things are gone, it just means that they have been minimized. All right, and these arrows at the top tell you that there's things you can open and look at. And this is, all right. This one probably will show up open. And right now you'll notice that when I open this picture over here, I also have a little tiny icon of it over here, and next to it it says background. All right, this over here is our layer map. Okay, if we're just going to open a picture and make a few changes like cropping of the picture, then we can just stay on this background. Later, when we want to do some other things to it, like say we want to change some colors or make it black and white and just colorize one part of it, there's several things that we can do here. And in that case, we probably want to right click on this and duplicate the layer so that we're not making changes to our actual photograph, but to a copy of it, a layer on top. Okay, so for us though, we'll just go here. All right, so in these tools on the left, there is a cropping tool. It's this one right here. It kind of looks like, I'm not sure what it's supposed to symbolize, but if I hover, it says crop tool. Now, most of these tools on the left, if you right click on them, there will be other options. The one we're going to use actually is crop tool. Later, some of you, if you're being creative on your pages and you want to kind of make it look like this perspective, it's sliding back, or we're looking at it on a sideways angle, might want to use this perspective crop because that's what's going to give it that look. But we're just going to use the crop tool. So when we select it, you'll notice that my cursor changed. You'll also notice that something happened over here. Okay, you can see that part of it is now hidden. All right, this is important. You have a choice in our Yearbook, for most of your pictures, we're going to want to keep our pictures as either a 2 by 3 or a 4 by 5 size, okay? And what we're talking about there is a ratio, all right? I know sometimes you said, I'm never going to use this math. Guess what? We use it, okay? Especially in art. All right, so 2 by 3 or 4 by 5. Now, you'll notice that the big picture here right now has a vertical mode, right? It's taller than it is wide, okay? Whereas this one down here has more of a horizontal mode. It's wider than it is tall, and that has to do with this up here. Notice these two boxes. The first one is width, and the second one is height. All right, so if I take both of those out, and yours probably came with both of them out, it has, well, because I'd already selected something, it has the whole thing. Normally it would just have the whole picture selected like this. Okay, so there you go. That's what it would look like. All right, but we want to pick either that 2 by 3 or that 4 by 5. Now when I say that, it can be 4 by 5 or 5 by 4. 2 by 3 or 3 by 2, depending on which way I want it to look. In this case, I'm thinking that I would like to keep some of this math behind Mrs. Gibson because that's what she teaches, and I think that's kind of interesting. But all this busy stuff up here I don't really care for, and probably this stuff down here also. So I probably want mine to be more of a horizontal, so the bigger number first. All right, but let's just pick one of those right now. Let's pick 2 in the first one and 3 in the second one. And when I push enter, you will see it didn't change anything because this is already set as a 2 by 3. All right, so let's try 4 by 5 and see what happens. 4 by 5. Oh, okay. So now in a 4 by 5, it's going to crop part of that picture out. Do I like it that way? No, it's not enough for me. So I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go 5 by 4. Okay, I like that better. Okay, now one of the coolest things you need to know is it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on here because the picture's kind of small, and especially if your eyes are kind of like mine, tired, you might need to look a little closer, and especially later when we start doing some tricks, you're definitely going to want to look closer. So take your left finger and hold down the control key. Take your right finger and up near the numbers at the top of the keyboard, you see where number 0 is. Right next to 0 is a minus, and right next to the minus is a plus. If I hold down that control key and then tap the plus key, look what happened. If I tap it again, if I tap it again, okay? Notice each time I tap it, it gets bigger. All right? Wow. We're getting in here really close, and in a minute, I'm going to be so close that I'm going to be able to see the pixels. Do you see them? All right, see all the little X's? All right, guess what? Minus does exactly the opposite. So we can back out, and you can tap it a few times until you're back out to where you want to be. Okay, now you'll notice that around my picture I have these little handlebars now, and I can drag those in and out, okay, to get what I want here. So I don't probably want all this white space on the right side of Miss Gibson. And again, I'm going to make this a little bigger so I can kind of see what I've got included there. All right, and her hands are cut out. That looks a little strange. Maybe I want those in. Now, do you notice that there are marks that are here? Do you remember when we talked about the rule of thirds and how in one of these intersections for the thirds is where you want your focal point of your photo to be? So in my case, the focal point, of course, is Miss Gibson, and I usually like to create the focal point as the eyes. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this. Notice it's moving the picture around, and I'm going to put her eyes in one of those spots. All right, and then I'm going to look at my picture some more and say, whoops, sorry, do I like the way this is cropped? Do I want a little more? All right, I've got some numbers there. I've got Miss Gibson. I'm still pretty good in my rule of thirds. Once I like the way the picture looks, then I'm going to come up here to the top and I'm going to click this X, and that says commit to the current crop. So I say, yes, that's what I want. When I click it, you'll notice everything else is gone. And then you go, ah, I hate that. Guess what? You can undo it. All right, if I come over here, I have my history. Okay, you have two tabs here. If history is not picked, click on the history tab. And you can see this crop right here. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to undo what I've done. Oh, I will. Why not? I'm going to click with my mouse, my regular left mouse, and I'm going to see how it turns into a hand, and I'm going to drag it over here to this trash can. And when I do that, ta-da, it undoes that. Okay, so I could go back and crop and do it all again, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pretend now I have the perfect picture, just what I want it to be. All right, I'm halfway home if all I'm going to do is crop this picture. Remember, in our yearbook editing, we can do some things with colors and a few other options. Photoshop is much more powerful, but it's also much more difficult to learn. I will teach you a few things about like blurring the background and a few other simple things that we can do to make our photos more interesting a little bit later in this semester. But for right now, it's all about just get it cropped. Okay. All right. Once you've got it cropped, then your job is to save it, but we don't want to erase our original picture. We want that to still hang out there. And hopefully you know that when you save something, if you save it with a different name, it becomes a different file. The original file will still be there. So our whatever this is called, 5508, IMG 5508 will still exist, but a file will also exist with the changes I have made. And that way I could always go back to the original if I needed to. But this file, I'm going to give it a name that is meaningful. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to File. This is after I've made all the changes I want. And I'm going to pull down to where it says Save As. Okay, so I go to Save As. The first thing, most important thing, is I need to tell it where to save. So in your computer, you're going to go to your O drive. You're going to go to your IMS yearbook. You're going to go to your folder. Okay, so drill into your space where you're going to save things. And then right down here, you'll see it says File Name. Before you click Save, you need to change the name of this. Give it a meaningful name. So I'm going to call this Gibson Classroom Crop. Okay, because I've cropped it, it's in the classroom, it's Mrs. Gibson. That makes sense to me. Give it a name that makes sense. Be careful about just calling it Sally Joe Smith, because we're going to have more than one picture, I hope, of Sally Joe Smith. I guess if we call it that and that comes up later, we'll have to call one Sally Joe Smith 2 or something. Okay, but be careful about giving it a meaningful name. So yearbook class, and then your name maybe, or something. Okay, so give it a name. And then you would click Save, and now you have that edited photo in your folder, and we're ready to upload that out to Walsworth, which is coming next. I hope that really helps you make sense of all of this, and good luck in all of this. And I'm here to ask questions and help you out with all that, so don't forget that. All right.